I'll tell you what I remember about George Moscone. I remember an enormously attractive human being, great personality, very outgoing.
I don't think George ever measured whether or not he would do something based on whether or not it could be done. George was far more interested in doing it because it was the right thing to do.
He was sort of the golden boy. He had it all. He was articulate, he was comfortable about the positions he was staking out. He took risks. He took political risks.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Victory tonight. It is the beginning of our campaign, the beginning of a very long road forward, the beginning of efforts to make San Francisco, as it once was, the absolute greatest city in the world.
He was a son of the city from an Italian neighborhood, a handsome charmer with a movie star smile. George Moscone would become leader of the California State Senate, a Democrat with a knack for getting progressive bills passed and signed into law by a Republican governor. As the first truly modern mayor of San Francisco, he pushed and inspired city government to become more inclusive, diverse, and tolerant. His life was cut short by the assassin who also murdered gay activist Harvey Milk, the darkest day in San Francisco's political history. But like Milk, Moscone left a legacy that has endured. His story is about change, from the old San Francisco to a new city waiting to be born.
Being a kid in San Francisco in the 40s was, I thought, a kind of great adventure. It was a big city and a small city both. It was kind of tribal, too. There were Irish kids, there were Italian kids, there were Jewish kids, there were black kids, which we call colored kids, and Chinese. And they all sort of stuck together in their own little world, as it were. We like to pretend that this was always this great tolerant city, but that wasn't necessarily true.
Born in San Francisco on November 24, 1929, George Moscone was part of a generation that endured the Depression and came of age during the Second World War.
Moscone was a guy who came from the playgrounds. He was a guy who came from North Beach. He played ball with my in-laws. He knew all these guys. He was a Catholic. He went to St. Ignatius High School, commonly known as SI, which is a kind of a boot camp for politicians. George was his son of the city.
It wasn't always carefree. George's parents separated when he was 9. His mother, Lee, had grown tired of her husband's drinking.
You know, my mother raised me all her life because my father and she were separated, and her inability to be able to get a decent wage for her efforts and her talents, and our inability to stay in a home or a rental property, you know, because of the fear of a woman who was the breadwinner and a young boy who might have been a scallywag.
she devoted everything to him. She believed in him 100%. And I think that was one of the keys to him having the confidence to do what he did.
Educated in parochial schools, St. Brigid's Elementary and St. Ignatius High School, George developed compassion for others and honed his intellectual skills. He also discovered sports.
I think one of the ways he took care of himself is that he played a lot of basketball. It was the great equalizer. The game was the same no matter where you played it. East, west, rich, poor, whatever color, you played basketball.